300 HP, gives you a boatload of AD as well, but it gives you 30 ultimate ability haste, not just ability haste in general.
Wow.
But for Nocturne, that means that your first rank ultimate goes way down in terms of cooldown, and once you ult, you get a load of attack speed and movement speed. So, very, very strong. Maybe expect that to be locked in with Orianna, because the Nocturne-Orianna combo is very, very strong right now. Fisher locking in the Azir, has a bit of mobility, has good early lane. We've seen it picked an awful lot today. We've seen 3 out of 3 games so far. Might be able to save himself from that Nocturne combo, whatever it's paired up with.
I'm just thinking about what they want to go for now. We did see the Kalista kind of favored towards top esports earlier in the day. However, BLG kind of countered that and said, all right, we got the Varus, and they're going to take it themselves. I wouldn't mind to see RNG maybe go for the, I was going to say the Renata. Maybe they could left the Orianna, but they don't want that to get banned away.
This is the problem. They want to lock in the Nocturne Orianna combo, but they also want to lock in the Kalista Renata. You can only choose one of them, so maybe you're giving over Renata to that Varus, and I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, it's oppressive to say the least. However, you are on the blue side here for RNG versus the red for EDG, which we have seen have massive kind of...
JJ Maokai.
Yep, JJ Maokai has been spotted here. But it does mean that you're not picking up the Renata either side so far. So we'll see what both teams want to go for, but I do think it's probably the right call from EDG because with Nocturne having such a global presence, you need that kind of anti-sinner or kind of, you know, disengage to try and mitigate it.
First game of the year for them. We're slamming it right back in with Treat EG.
Yeah.
We're back, baby. Nothing has ever changed, ever. This champion is just permanently going to be here. Now, this is interesting to me. EDG, even though they have 4th pick, ban the Renata themselves. This makes me wonder, you know, obviously Vampire, we haven't seen so much of this guy in terms of his pro play. Maybe he's less comfortable on the Renata. Of course, that might not be the case, but I just don't see why you wouldn't pick that up 4th. It's so valuable. It's very, very good with the Varus and very good against the Kalista in a lot of ways too. Lots of support bans. This is a little different. Unless, I mean, there could also be the random flex now, by the way, folks, of Varus or Kalista into support. Both of them are actually okay supports as well, but I mean, with 4 looking likely, 4 support bans from the second round as well, you're really getting pinched in the support pool.
You really, really are. But see what the last one's going to be. It's going to be the Nico. I was thinking that. The Nico kind of flipping her way through the bans for the moment, but then was going to get knocked out there, just taking it away completely.
Oh, that, of course, is a support ban as well,
yes,
because the 2 mid lane is already locked in.
It was a support ban, because that is just obnoxiously so. Vampire on his LPL debut, going to take himself up to the Bard. And that's a... Look, I think once you watch Keria at Worlds with Bard hits different when you don't have someone. You need to have that level of expertise and finesse.
Because you have Keria Bard at Worlds, but then also you played against Gen G and it looked absolutely bad. So even the best players of it in the world can have very fluctuating performances on this pick. Now you do have Immobile Orianna to take off of the map as well if you manage to get a good enough ult on them. And you're able, particularly with the map changes as well, to get some really long portals into the right places across the map. Bard portal almost works like a semi-global in some instances. So now if you win this bot lane as EDG, Bard gets unlocked. It is going to be, of course, on the other side, locks in. There's an Udyr in that top side. Are they going to just... It feels like Rel is the jack of all trade support right now. If you're not going for anything in particular, does okay in lane, very good in team fighting. And everyone's practiced at it right now.
Absolutely. And look, especially with the Void Grubs and their shielding, if you're able to roam up with your jungler to try and take those, you take them so exceptionally quickly because you're able to just crash down, take down those shields, and just really, you know, kind of cause pressure on that. EDG, they're looking for Ala to have a little bit of pressure on the top side. They get the Jax. And this is what we mentioned just earlier on before our pre-match. This is the kind of champion we expect to see Ala on because he's just so good at these pressuring kind of top lane bruisers.
I know that a lot of people focus on Bin's Jax in terms of LPL presence from it. Really going to throw this out there. If there's anyone who would beat Bin's claim to Jax, it's Ala. This dude is incredible at this champion too. In fact, if you look at back to the regional finals just at the end of summer last year as well, the only game which LNG lost in that was Ala's Jax against EDG, and he was 100% the reason that they ended up winning that game. He picks it up again. Decent front line from JJ, and of course the Jax is more of a frontline champion now because of the items you can build with it. Bit of individual power towards that top side. Of course, Udyr controls the early lane even so. See how it ends up on the rift.
Mako may have left EDG, but clear love is forever, and that is just how it has to be sometimes. But teams are locked and loaded, ready to jump themselves onto the rift. And again, everyone's starting on a clean slate. You want to put your best foot forward, and both teams hunting to make sure that they're giving the best impression for 2024.
Again, really impressing the importance of this game in regards to where are we benchmarking these teams. Lots of these players, we've seen them find success on different rosters, but can they do it as a cohesive unit? Big changes on both sides of the Rift in players, big changes on the entire Rift as a map. There's items, there's champions, lots in flux. Lots to nail down just a little bit today.
A lot of questions. We'll see if we get any of our answers today. Both these teams really do need to kind of hit the Rift with a bang. We'll wait to see. I'm curious to see what this Bard can do. I'm curious to see what Vampire can do on this EDG roster because, again, very little information in terms of him and how it's all going to work. And, of course, RNG going with experience, going more with the people who've been around for quite a hell of a long time as they want to try and reclaim some of that Kings of Spring titles they've already been getting. And you can already hear the cheerleaders really coming in and just absolutely smashing the decibels of those audience mics.
Okay, we're onto the Rift. See a cleanse from Leave, heal from Vampire. Leave also going for the Comet, which signals the poke version of Varus. It's not going to be on hit, which means that if you get very, very tanky on the side of maybe the Rel and of course the Udyr as well, EDG will have to rely a little bit more on Arla and Fisher to pick up the DPS. However, does tend to feel like poke Varus just makes Kallista's life just that little bit harder in the early game because she can't just brawl with you. He fires an ear at you, an arrow at you, and he just kind of walks away. It's not the most intensive laning phase in that sense. Of course, if you avoid the either, of course, when you don't get hit by that slow, then Kallista can start running down. Level 1 bot lane has been so important so far. A little bit different with the supports involved this time. See if that bot lane prio still ends up being important though.
Already trying to just maintain control. As you can see the graph there, 50-50, as is the little robots estimations about how this game should go. So can't ask for more than that, to be honest with you. I'm always more for a tight contest than anything else. Now, wait to see. Again, I suppose the answers, or the questions I can pose to you here is that the Udyr is having such a huge presence right now. Yes, he's very, very tanky, but what's pushing him over the edge to become the pick up in the top side?
He has infinite wave clear very, very early on, and he's just a very, very good user of the new items. I also think right now it's because people haven't practiced the counters to him right now, at least in a team comp sense. We saw a couple of hovers from BLG in terms of the Darius and the Olaf in game 2. Of the first series of today, but they weren't locked in. I feel like it's often the counters are not practiced in a team-wide sense to play with them because they're a little bit different from a Jax, which we have played the entire year with. I think we'll give it give it a couple of weeks. I think we'll start seeing some of those champions pop up a bit more, especially with the propensity of LPL top laners going towards carries. But it feels like Udyr just gives you an absolute stable early game towards that top side and then transitions into a very good frontline champion.
Has it all. He does it all. And,
you can also get a carry too if you build Leandries, you know. But we haven't seen so much of that. I'd like to see that, but you know.
What you want and what I want are two very different things, because I never want to see that, because I do not want to see that in my games.
Oh, that's true. Okay, all right.
I never want to see someone go like it's like universally. I think today was a terrible day for LeBlanc haters because most people have probably disagreed. LeBlanc AD garbage now, terrible, terrible, terrible. And then Knight played it and they went, never mind, it's still busted.
Reminds me of when the support meta came out with the Varus and the Ashe support and stuff like that. And I think it was Gumayusi doing an interview saying, like, look, when you lock this into solo queue, reminder, your teammates are not who you think they are. Like, and you are not the pro player you think you are either.
You aren't carrier.
Yeah.
Moving on. That's really it. But we'll see if the LeBlanc does stick or if it is just a night special. Of course, we are only in our first day of our first week. Got ourselves 2 weeks of games. We'll be obviously going to our exclusivity of the Thursday to Friday, with the exception, or sorry, Thursday to Sunday. Excuse me. That would have been that would have been a way to drop that news. But yeah, we'll be doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, with the exception of a couple of different days, I believe.
Special events. Special
events. Spring Gala is one that comes to mind. The end of the season. Those things that we need to kind of do. I think they're on Wednesdays, I believe.
Very cool.
And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get a lot more data about where the hell this LeBlanc AD is going to sit.
And where these teams are going to sit as well. You know, we've talked about both these teams being absolute household names. As Vampire, buddy, you can't walk up like that.
I have no words. He flashes, but he'll be going down. Ming marks his return. with a pretty anticlimactic and unnecessary first blood from the side of EDG.
It's like, is that a lance or a stake he's holding? Because he's gotten rid of that vampire pretty well. Bram Stoker must have been giving some lessons in the off-season, as you just can't walk up like that. Yes, if you're close enough to the wall, then you can end up getting the tunnel through it, give yourself basically an extended dash range, but just goes way too far. EDG now has to play with a bit of a deficit, unexpectedly so from the boss side.
And I mean, that's experience. That is just having the experience on stage to kind of know, like you saw Ming was never actually recalling in that brush. He was constantly ready for as soon as he got hit by the stun.
He was protecting LWX.
He was protecting LWX, but he was also just kind of prepared to go, well, as soon as you walk up to this because you think you're able to kind of harass me, I'm going to be able to get you back on this. So one of the Kevins has been taken by Wei, but he hasn't got the smite anymore. He's just going to try and be a nuisance to maybe steal some of those away. But 2-for-1 deal, EDG, they'll take that trade. And even despite the bot lane going against them, they're still able to make something work topside.
You know, I also thought about calling them Jeff, and Jeff, but they're different spellings of Jeff just to make it slightly more individual. Okay, we'll get to that later. But this is what happened at this bot side. I think they tell that he even sees that he's not recall.
Yeah.
This is... Yeah, that's just an overstep, looking to get himself. He even gets the cancel, right? He can just throw that Q into the bush and walk away. Yes, he does end up, I guess, trading his life for a flash of the Kalista, but that is not something you particularly feel good about in that sense. And yeah, now you have to see what happens with this Kalista and the Rel towards this bot side. I mean, Leaf's still playing the Varus with the poke build. It's not like you're going to be the one forced out of lane that often, because you have such a range advantage with such a good early game damage profile.
Absolutely, and look, as much as we're kind of saying that's just a mistake, the kill went over to Ming. It's not the end of the world. You're not going to have your AD carry randomly behind by an item or so because of the first blood. That's just not how the game works at the moment. But Ming already trying to see how much presence he can push in here and make sure that they do not get anything else going badly in this bot side. And I mean, Ming was just king of the engages back on, his entire career. Lowe's, remember, in 2021 when he's just looking for constant roams here with Wei moving around the map, always looking to impact something. And on something like Rel, that is 100% viable in any meta.
Absolutely. I think we saw this in LPL playoffs last year when it started to kind of come back into priority. The Rel, after the rework, came in midway through summer, particularly because Rel is one of the very few champions that can be flexed between support and jungle. Very few champions who do that. Maokai is really the only other one which comes to mind. And she ended up being, good to top tier in both of those roles. Everyone got very practiced at this, and now suddenly it's a good frontline champion. A lot of the support items are okay on them too. For instance, there's the Celestial Opposition, which is effectively old Crown of the Shattered Queen's passive on a support item. 35% damage reduction for the first 2 seconds of combat, 20-second cooldown. Very powerful at that point, so watch for when you see that shield around them later on. You do have level 6s being hit by a couple of people on the map, so you need to be careful of the players potentially erupting from nowhere. Looking particularly at Leave's ultimate, see if it can catch LWX or Ming. What's that Nocturne Paranoia waiting in the wings?
For RNG, you do want to start sacking these dragons as quick as you can, but I do think it's the correct call to wait till LWX got a reset there, get the Berserker Greaves, and also get its flash back online, because if he's getting caught out before his flash comes back, especially with how low the timer is on right now, it just feels like a misplay from the side of RNG. So I like that they kind of took the reservation of themselves and said, no, we don't need to go crazy right now, we can always back away. But and we're already seeing now that Jack's starting to ramp up a little bit. Now that he's got those Mercury Treads, he's just knowing that he's able to kind of tank up a little bit more of this AoE.
So last year we had level 3 is full build Poppy. Now in 2024 we have full build Udyr at Tabby and full build Jax at Merc Treads. Turns out boots are all you need, folks.
Boots are all anyone needs. A good pair of boots to help you walk around. And
do you reckon you can make like a Beatles parody song? It's like, all you need is boots.
You definitely could. Yeah. I would not be the person to do it. I am not musically gifted in any way. Unlike yourself and Lyric, I don't even think I could play a chord. I genuinely don't think I could. But I used to play Spanish guitar, but it was a long, long time ago. Very long time ago. I think I was like 10, 12 years ago at this stage. 12 years ago, yeah, it would have been 12 years ago.
It's never too late to start learning.
I've got League of Legends.
Okay.
I got League of Legends.
What's that one meme? It's like, is League of Legends an instrument?
Yeah.
No, Patrick.
No, it's not. We'll see. Again, very slow. Comparatively to the first game, this is a much slower setup of things. We will have JJ up here with Ala, and they may look to try and just go fully on top of the Udyr. He will get stunned up just a little bit, get stunned down, and he will be CC'd into oblivion. He is still running, but he will be jumped on, and Ally will say, bonk, back to the gray screen you go. So that's going to be a trade of Dragon now for the side of RNG, as they know that they do not have any pressure around the Kevins.
And RNG's top laner will stop breathing for a brief second until he respawns. It's going to be a plate gone. Looks like the grubs are going to go down as well. See that little icon below it. Goodbye, Ed and Eddie. Once more. Kev and Kevin. Jeff and Jeff. Multiple names.
There's going to be so many names.
Yeah, I feel like I've already been threatened about the names already. People are getting quite into this.
Yeah, they really are. Ooh, Flash has to be burnt there, as Ming had already made his roam up. They will be able to try to back, so it will be 4-2.
Oh, that's important. That is important, because if you get 5, then you spawn the Void Mites when you get close to a tower. You get 6 of them, then it doubles them up to 2 every time you go towards that too.
So that's every individual player as well.
Every individual does that, which means you get an insane amount of them when you're starting to hit turrets as well, which means that EDG won't get the ability to have those Mites tanking extra turret shots. So, good takeaway from RNG. Early gold advantage over to EDG with the first blood and some CS advantages coming in from places too, plus the extra 2 places towards top side, but it's not completely out of control, and they do stop things completely falling away in regards to those grubs as well.
Yeah, just the 2 kills, 1 each. This is very, very slow start, but we might have a paranoia coming in.
Wow, really going for it,
Magnet Storm, they're trying to get everyone into the magical journey. They can't get the Bard out of there. The Nocturne never committed. Wei just did not go in on top of that for some reason, and yes, it's a, kind of moment there, but you've only got rid of the cleanse on the side of Leave. After that, you blew Ming's flash. That engage tool no longer available.
I mean, really well played from Vampire. Actually, we criticized him for that first blood in bot lane, which was pretty bad, don't get me wrong, but he lands a good ultimate to stop LWX from committing to the fight too heavily. Has a great portal next to the wall to make sure that Leave and Vampire don't even have to blow their flashes. I think as soon as Wei presses his ult and realizes that Fisher has his teleport channeling, basically don't want to cover that. Sad thing for Wei is that he hadn't completed his first item before that first ultimate, which means that it won't get benefit from the 50 ability haste on that one, or 30 rather.
Yes.
Of course, not that you don't want to use an early ultimate on Nocturne, it's just if you had that first item, it would have been not short of cooldown waiting for it.
Yeah, someone is pinging like crazy right now on the side. I just hear it constantly in my ear, but obviously they want to make sure that everyone knows where Wei is on this Nocturne. No ultimate available for him. They will have a Maokai ultimate available to them very, very short. Actually, it's already up, excuse me. And with Ala kind of having full vision, thanks to those pings, both top laners are saying, you know what? That's fine, sir. You go between your those two. I'll go between these two.
They just hate each other. They don't want to be within the same lane. They've gone as geographically far away from each other as they possibly can within this lane.
I mean, it's not a bad rune, and actually, Udyr is still going, by the way. The Udyr is still pushing on. Wei is here, though, to maybe go for something. I don't even think he could really fight the Jax at all. It wouldn't be a smart one.
It's walking out. I mean, Allah has flash, he has ult, and he has, obviously, leap strikes away. He has a little bit of HP from the Phage and the move speed from Phage, which it now gives again. This could be quite dangerous to him now, though.
They get themselves the fear. Allah is in no man's land, and they are going to start realizing now that he should have left a long, long time ago. The Udyr having a similar situation, but
oh, no
Allah still running away from this, and he will get out. No
that
problem
is criminal
at all. This is not that exciting to watch.
I find it quite entertaining watching Allah get away with absolute murder. There's no way you should walk away from that with Tanyuan committing the ult to that too. I think there was actually a missed dissonance. I'm not sure if he got the entirety of that slow and damage onto him, but Allah being quick thinking to get through with that cube. Icing popping up on the bottom of the screen. That's the experimental hex plate, which we've highlighted for Nocturne. That's also why Wei is on the screen. Now he has that completed. Next ultimate is going to benefit from 30 ult ability haste. And then when he casts his ult, he's going to get 15% extra movement speed, 35% attack speed.
Do you know what its Ornn form is called?
No. Did you just look that up?
No, I didn't look it up there. I look this up every time we get new items. Because
that's dedication. All right, tell me.
I like it. It's TURBO.
Oh, it's just like turbo and caps?
Yes.
That's
but
cool.
It's T.U.R.B.
Wait, what's it an acronym for?
I don't know.
What?
It doesn't tell you what the acronym
tell us the acronym.
Was. I'm very annoyed.
I need to know.
I am genuinely annoyed about that because I was like, oh, that's cool. So, but it is T.U.R.B.O.
You know, there are some really interesting words which are still acronyms. You know laser is an acronym?
Is it?
Light amplification of stimulated emission of radiation.
Wow.
So it's light amplification of stimulated emission of radiation.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why it can never be
Well,
L-A-Z-R-E-R. It can only be
well, I mean, it's
L-A-S.
kind of a backronym now, so it's just like, it has its own meaning because it's in such a big, you know, part of the language for a while.
That's the same with... Oh, I'm going to stop myself as we look for
Laser sights onto him.
Yeah, but that's a great ultimate. Oh, kind of anti-synergy right now. The Maokai ultimate comes out as well. The Chain of Corruption goes completely wide, and now EDG, they are running for their lives. Vampire, you are just in the daylight, and you'll be turned to ash. Double kill comes in here for the side of RNG, and all they needed was one little moment to just pounce on everybody and confirm themselves a good few kills. However, Fisher looking to try and confirm back on the bot side.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to take this turret down before the teleport is completed, but he has the turret, so Breathe can't go and stay for anything else. Is he going to ult him back into the tower? No, he's not. So, grand scheme of things, 2 kills to the side of RNG. Herald goes over to the side of EDG, and they get themselves a tower. So RNG actually closing up the gold difference a little bit. Hang on, buddy, you need to be a little bit close here. Ala didn't even have to force his flash just before the... There's a chance he can go straight onto him, but looks away instead.
Doesn't have full vision, actually doesn't have any vision really on that bottom or the top side of the river, so it's just not really a smart play to go for without knowing where the Nocturne is. And again, let's have a look at this and see that they get the Rift Herald, but then after that, it just feels like a comedy of errors. Very poor synergy between the Bard ult and the Maokai ult.
Yes, if you were still a little bit closer to the Bard, maybe Leave could have got through that tunnel, so maybe a bit of a misposition from Leave and Vampire, one of the both of them. Of course, JJ, despite himself being on that Herald, not really in a position to help out his stranded bot lane. Now they're going to head towards this another objective, towards this second dragon of the game. First was taken by RNG in the early game.
And the big thing about that is, though, is that yes, you just got 2 kills up for RNG, but it doesn't change the gold. The gold is basically even at this point, despite it being 3 kills to 1. That comes down to kind of having those Void Grubs kind of stacked up and made taking turrets and plates that a little bit easier for the side of EDG. And we've got ourselves our first Infernal Rift.
It is. So, Infernal Rift has changed a fair amount from last season, where a lot of the walls would disappear and then you'd have more blast cones, but that was kind of the Rift. Now you have these things called Infernal Cinders. I always just think they look like Final Fantasy Phoenix Down. So
yeah, that's true.
But what they end up doing is that when you pick them up, you get a small boost. Yes! I shout at video games for a living, Yashin!
Yeah,
you
like,
do too!
Yeah, but like Final Fantasy's real nerds, you know? Like, I've never played a Final Fantasy game. Ever.
Wow, you're so cool because you haven't done... Anyway, it looks like Final Fantasy, like Phoenix Down. Shush you. They give you a burst of immunity when you pick them up. That's nice in terms of some unique getaway and gap closing things. If you pick them up and pick enough of them up, though, you start getting some ability haste. You start racking up. Now, when you die, I think it's about half of your things just kind of explode out of you, which is why when you see people dying, especially if they haven't died for a while, you'll see a couple of these cinders kind of fly about the place. So, watch to see them. There is a Paranoia available as we start with that.
They're looking for a ball delivery system, and they're going to get it. There's the shockwave right in on top of it. They even have the spell shield, the fear, and they're going to give it over to the clockwork wind-up of Tang Yuan. They get themselves that turret. They'll get themselves that kill. And RNG, they're looking to pick up the pace. However, Rift Herald's been dropped at bot side. Ala picked that one up, so he's going to get a tier 2. He might even get a second charge, because I don't think he's really going to be afraid of the
He hopped in it again, yeah.
Yeah, he's not afraid of the Udyr. Get out of his way.
Oh, wait.
Wait!
Ala, what are you doing?
What?
I mean, just hit the tower. I mean, the Herald would survive the hit, so it's not like you're taking tower aggro. You can just Q out anyway. Maybe he was worried about a roam down, but it's not like there's a paranoia. All bot lane was stationed in the mid lane from RNG. That just seems like a bit of a driving error.
Yeah, someone needs to go to driver's ed, because that was not it. They were told to go straight and they went right. That was just not what the instructor said. Odd, to say the least. But I digress. It does mean that we come back into this, and despite the kill and the turrets being taken, again, it's still a very small gold lead for EDG, but this is the combo that we were talking about in Champs Select. There is no counter. It's so hard to counter that.
Yeah, Nocturne Orianna walks into a bar, there's no counter. And they still get themselves served up. Fisher in that top lane. Either way, he goes down. Luckily, though, as you said, for EDG, and we saw after that point, Ala gets inner turret gold from this bot lane. Inner turrets are worth a lot of gold, which is why the gold lead is still slightly in favor of EDG. And one thing which is interesting here is Ala went for the Triforce first item, not the Titanic Hydra. Very strong on Jax right now. He might go for that as a second item, because when you pop your ult, every other auto gives your passive damage from your ult, which is really powerful. With the Titanic Hydra and your W giving you both auto attack resets, if you time it right in your combo, you can get an instant 2-prop combo from your ult alongside the W. which will be a massive amount of burst damage. So wait to see how bursty Ala gets if he does pick up that Titanic. I mean, he'll be strong either way, don't get me wrong. Just interested to see that is indeed his second item, or maybe he could go something like a Starix, something a little bit more tanky too.
Absolutely, but for now, RNG have been the more proactive, but they are not the ones in the same. The Baron has spawned, as you saw the Rift just flying across there. We're going to
they're doing it again!
Too early, though. They didn't quite get the ultimate off, or rather, they got it up too early, and therefore weren't able to catch out the AD carry of EDG. However, and it's a big combo that's no longer available for the moment. It is a minute until Dragon spawns, and that is one apiece for the moment. So RNG, they won't lose anything from it. They should be able to reset and still get themselves back out for that objective.
Now, I think I'm right in saying this. One of the reasons why this combo is so strong is that if you ping the ball on Nocturne while they're in flight and then you cast the ultimate, it won't ping off them, even if it technically goes beyond the tether range of the Orianna. So that's why you have to do it in that tight timing, because if he travels too far, it would ping back. I think that's how it works. Correct me if I'm wrong on Twitter, you can come shout at me. But that one doesn't quite work out in that timing. It's not going to be the Starix, it's not going to be the Titanic, but it is going to be something which is still pseudo-tanky in that Sundered Sky, which is one of my favorite named items in this one, which will give you basically your first auto-attack against any champion will be an instant crit. We saw this earlier in the day, I think, for the Shinzao of Tien in Game 1 of the day, if you caught that one in the inventories. And also what it does is give you some extra healing based on your missing HP and then a flat amount as well. So it makes you more tanky. Think of it as kind of the replacement for Divine Sunder in some way. It doesn't give you the same kind of pen and the percent HP damage, but it does give you a good amount of healing and then some extra HP on the item.
All right, we might have ourselves our first full 5v5. Dragon started up to about half HP. RNG not really in a position to fight this. Never mind, they're going for it, and they will get the shockwave combination. The Bard ult keeps everybody in place. Ming puts down the Magnet Storm. Leave is dead. Finally, Ala jumps in on top of LWX, flashes him over the wall, shut down over to Ala. It's been a trade of 2 for 1, but Ala is starting to bear down on their necks. He's separated from the rest of his team, and the Dragon is still available, but Ala is just huge.
The thing about this composition from EDG is that you have to kill more than just the AD carry. They do get Leaf and they get JJ, so there's not going to be a smite on the table for this Dragon. I think if he was alive, that probably would have been Dragon going over to the side of EDG. This is why we highlighted Ala's Jax right the way from Champion Select, though. You can see this item combination coming in very, very powerful at this point. Teleports just as the Paranoia comes down, so he doesn't get blocked out with a lack of vision. Sadly, he's not there early enough to save his AD carry. Vampire does an okay ult to buy some time. At the end of the day, Leave is still stuck in absolutely nowhere. And Ala gets into the backline. LWX also has no escape path. So, some big initiations, some big responses. EDG, I think, just about come away from that. I'm a lot more scared of a 3-kill Jax than I am of any of the gold given over to RNG on the other side.
And that's the thing as well. You invest so many things into killing off Leave. Fisher was untouched. Ala was just bonking on top of the Callista and chasing down kills afterwards. It felt very much like you had just kind of used everything and then nothing was left to deal with the other threats. So this is kind of a prioritization issue now for RNG. Like you said, they can't just go for the one, they have to go for more than that. There is a ward here, they know this is going down.
And also because of the Hex Plate, you have the Nocturne ult available. Again, it's rank 2, low cooldown EDG. They have to contest this into the ultimate's backup.
It's a Callista. They're going to have the Bard Fate. There's the Tempered Fate coming in just to try and buy some time. There comes the Maokai ultimate finally in synergy. The Nocturne pops out his Paranoia just to delay everybody from ongoing, but they're going to go back in, and they're going to try with the Magnet Storm. The Shockwave doesn't really land onto anybody. Great shuffle backwards to try and disengage. Fisher is going in so hard to make sure the rest of his team have the space, and Ala and Leave again stay alive. Ala's just too big now.
The combo was well executed from RNG, but you have to hit too many people to really win this team fight. Wade doesn't have ultimate now. I know his ult's on a short cooldown. It's not that short. I think he's just going to get jumped on if he looks to contest. Everyone at EDG is very high health.
They're looking for a bit of a kill on the back side of this one here. He tries to get in. They're going to get the Maris down, but can they get the kill afterwards? They will not be able to get anything else. Nocturne did go down. No smite available for RNG. But it is only going to be 3 members of EDG walking away with the Baron buff.
At least they managed to get Leave down with the committal of Tanyuan's flash and teleport. They're very strong. They haven't even died this game. It does feel like Ala's the one taking over, but this Orianna, maybe given another item, could be the difference maker. Of course, this part of the combination from the Nocturne Orianna is doing so much damage now. How many people does it hit? It looks like just 2 people. I don't think the damage went on to Ala. It's Vampire and Fisher. Doesn't hit Leave, doesn't hit, doesn't do enough to Ala. It really just feels like as soon as this Jax is in the middle of the fight, the game's just over.
And this is the thing we've seen so often now with this combination is like, yes, it's great, it's flashy, but once it's done, it's done. There's nothing to follow up with. It doesn't feel like there's really any threat from RNG after EDG kind of tanked that initial burst.
And this is only going to get more difficult because you have the Seeker's Arm Guard, which functions as a stopwatch in this season, so Ala has that stasis and is getting closer to getting the full completed Zhonya's. It gives you 120 AP now, which is a heck of a lot of stats, much more than it used to. I think it used to give you 80 AP, rather. Gave you 80 LP just for building the item. I think a lot of people will be much more higher ranked than they are currently. But still, once he gets to that third item, Ala's going to be in a really strong place to be. Again, that kind of just really disruptive, high damage frontline. He's been playing it out very, very well. Really looks like on the other side for RNG, they're really just hoping to get themselves that one combo to take off probably Fisher and Leave at the same time. If they catch both of them, I think that might be enough. Ala's TPing in, got himself the full Zhonya's now, looking to siege down mid.
Yeah, there's not really much of a defense to be had here. Ala is just so big. He was waiting in base to finish off his Zhonya's Hourglass, so he's got that straight away. Never even had to use the Seeker's Arm Guard kind of active. That is now acting as the stopwatch, but I mean, now it's a hard game. Now it's a difficult time for RNG to truly come back into this one. They're 3,500 gold down. They need something to go right in these engages, but I just feel like if it's not Jax, if it's not Ala going down, they're just going to get bonked on the head every single time.
And this is why, you know, earlier in the day, I was wondering whether we'd see some extra top lane picks coming out of Bin and 369, which can have a bit more teamfight impact. The Udyr, we know why it's picked. It gives you a great rock to play around in the early game. Of course, in this one, Ala and JJ did a good job to get the first kill up towards that top lane to really secure Ala. Well, I mean, this platform he's used for the rest of the game. So RNG, what's the playbook now? I think that EDG are pretty wise to the knocked-in Orianna. JJ has himself the Kaenic Rookern, so that's the extra magic shield, which will stop that combo onto him being as effective. Really has limited RNG's target selection. They have to hit Fisher or Leave, and Fisher already has himself the Seeker's Arm Guard, so he's going to be harder to take down anyway.
And even then, the redemption coming out from Vampire, just there's so much extra healing, extra things you have to burn through in order to try and make this work for RNG, whereas EDG, they just need long, prolonged fights. They just need the Azir, the Varus, the...
they need Jax to be in melee range of any one person, and then things are probably okay.
Yeah, and even there, Vampire takes half his health bar just to kind of make sure, yeah, we get the vision down, we'll contest this, drag it up in a minute's time. They want to fight. EDG want this to happen.
But they do. So, EDG find themselves in a pretty okay spot, honestly. Particularly at the hands of Ala, who is now looking at Wei. Wei is, he's in a bad spot.
He's in a very bad spot. The Fear will come in. They're going to try and burn him down before he can really go anywhere. He does not have flash anymore. Leave will pick that one up, and that's going to be, you would imagine, a turret, but they don't want to overcommit for this. There's going to be a good chain of corruption right down into LWX, so he's chunked before this can really happen. Ala needs to get out after the fact. They do get the Fates called down, though, to knock up 3, but there's no damage. There's no one to really follow up onto this, and they can't take anyone down. Fisher's not even here. Fisher is bot side having a grand old time playing Stardew Valley. He's just farming up a storm.
Did you say the Fisher is farming? You know you can fish in that as well, right?
You know what? I don't play many other games, okay?
You know, I used to have a Stardew Valley game where I named a lot of the chickens I kept after my favorite League players. That was great. That reminded me of a very fun time in my gaming career. But yeah, Fisher is just off doing a side quest somewhere else on the map. Ala is so obnoxiously hard to get rid of that he can jump in on Wei, use everything he wants, and still have enough to survive the team fight afterwards as well. The bot ult here times out the fear, so he doesn't have to worry about him getting separated out from that point. Look towards this, and of course I already think, well, we can't really give them this for free. Let's look for the clutch engage on the turret. Ming's had a couple of decent moments with that this game, but Redemption, of course, doesn't hit Alex. He goes into stasis. Stasis buys him time to get his Q back towards his team. He's out from under turret. Sundered Sky healing gives him the healing on the first auto attack against these targets. He's got more counter strikes, and he is just so hard to get off the table.
And a little bit of a kind of an unsung carry in the last one. I'm going to stop myself. They're looking for a pick. They're looking to try and find Leave, and they will get him. Taking him out, but the stun comes down onto Wei. He'll take about half his HP. We're going back into this, and here comes the raid boss. You mess with my little brother, and everyone's like, nah, man, we didn't do anything. We're going to get out of here. But again, you can see in that last fight, the the fact that LWX just couldn't get into it because the amount of damage Lee just sunk into him with those piercing arrows. This lethality build may not work against things like Breathe, but it will work 100% more effectively against LWX.
He's got himself a really strong item build too. The new item in inventory for Lee, for those of you who are not aware of it, that's different. This is the Crypt Bloom for Orianna. So this is another version of Void Staff. Talk about this briefly. When we saw Leave die, you saw that kind of giant green wave explode out of them. That's the passive of Crypt Bloom. Every 30, I think it's got a 30-second cooldown or so. If you kill someone, there's a bloom of healing which comes out from it, which affects you and your teammates, while still having some ability haste and 30% magic defense. The opportunity in the side of Varus, it gives you basically Ghostblade's old passive. It gives you, in the first couple of seconds of combat, some extra lethality, which is very helpful, of course, for Poke Varus when you're hitting those arrows from long range.
Yeah, Breathe, you don't win that. I think you know you don't win that, so you gotta back yourselves away. But Infernal Soul in 3 minutes, Baron back on the field. Yeah. It's a longer game than we're used to so far. The average in the first series was much quicker, but it does feel like EDG are coming out on top with every single skirmish. Every single fight feels like, unless it's an isolated catch, it doesn't feel good for RNG.
And part of that is the identity of the bot lanes and the junglers. We had junglers that could really steamroll when their lanes had a lead, and the bot lanes themselves were so strong in the early levels. If one of them got an early lead, it was just going to spiral from there. So with the support pools being pinched and some of the junglers being locked in, of course, EDG, talked about that one already, and then the Nocturne Orianna combo, which we have talked about to death. It's just a little bit slower in the early game. It means that we have gotten through to now, very much late game. We have Soul Point for EDG, 2 minutes until that one can be converted into a full Soul. Of course, the Baron on the table. RNG can't really leave that unattended.
Really can't. The legacy of Shreema gets popped up just to cover some of this mid lane. And again, there's plenty of avenues to get into this Baron pit with the new Hunter form, I believe, with the sides kind of taken off. I could be mistaken on that one, but...
Hunting is the regular Baron.
Right.
The one with the eye... Well, let's talk about that later, because we've got some hunting in the mid lane.
We do have some hunting in the mid lane, but immediately Fisher gets himself into stages and flashes away. They're going to try and get on top of this one. That's a good tempered fate to stop the recalls.
Oh,
they throw Ming back in, but can they follow up again on top of it? Ala finally jumps in. A good Shreema shuffle, and Ala is on the backside. There's just nothing they can do except run for their lives, because Ala is here. It's still a good trade, though, for the side of RNG. It's 2 kills for 2, but Wade can't die.
The shockwave is great eye candy, but you gotta kill this Jackson. They're just not able to. He's full HP. Wade's flashing, but he's just not going to be able to make enough distance up.
No, he will not. And remember that spell shield, you're probably wondering, why did it go off of the thing? The leap strike's an ability, and it counts towards the spell shield. So that's going to be Baron. That's going to immediately lead to, you imagine, an Infernal Soul, and that's going to be EDG coming out on top of this entire skirmish.
Gosh, Ala's Jax, I have missed watching this. He's 7-0-5, and he's basically determining this game. This is why a little earlier into the game, when I was saying, oh, you know, I'm much more scared of the 3-0 Jax than anyone on the side of RNG. Despite the fact that Tanyuan is very strong in this Orianna, it's just levels apart. The combo doesn't work out particularly perfectly this time. Fisher just uses a stopwatch. That's another thing which we highlighted before. Even with the great engage from Ming, it feels like all of the disruptive tools and the stopwatches and the Zhonya's just buy so much space for EDG's carries to wreak havoc, and particularly Ala to wreak havoc at the end of fights.
Yeah, Ala getting a huge amount of value there towards the last minutes there, but we do have a little bit of technical issues coming in off of that particular one. We'll hopefully get them sorted out very soon.
We actually got Nocturne ulted.
We did. We got Nocturne ulted a little bit there. But again, really, really good to see kind of EDG coming them back into it. We'll hopefully get the feedback up as soon as we possibly can. But they're in the ascendancy. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see us come back in here and they're already taking the dragon. That would be my best guess. My best guess. So again, we should be coming back into game very, very shortly. We do apologize for the slight tech issues. But again, these things happen and we come in and there it is.
Exactly. So wait, what the hell? Everyone's dead.
RNG got the dragon.
Where did they go?
RNG fought at Infernal Soul, and that was their last stand.
Well, I mean, Rashid, they got the dragon.
Yeah, they did. They got
the dragon, and they all died for it.
Yeah, that is unfortunately a little anticlimactic from us. Unfortunately, that's the way these things go. But it is EDG taking the first game in this best of 3. A great start for them.
We actually did just get Nocturne ulted as they Nocturne ulted in game. I got absolutely